What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations. Do also know back in 2018, I received the Innovation Award given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And just recently, I'm now the monthly co-host of Conversations for Fathers that are sponsored by Dad Central Canada and Dove Men Care. Hope everyone is staying safe during this lovely sea time. I don't like using the C word, but we're all doing good. I'm very excited and very interested and very curious about the conversation I'll be hosting tonight. And we're going to be having two wonderful individuals who, one I've talked to on the phone once or twice in the past, and we never seem to cross paths. We haven't physically met. Well, we have physically maybe met each other just saying hi, but nothing more than that till now, till screen time. And the other lady, I had the pleasure of having a great conversation with this afternoon. And really, I shared that conversation with some other people, and they are wanting to hear from her. So I always like to introduce ladies first. So first up, I'm going to introduce Zya Brown. She is the driving force behind an organization called Think2ix, and it assists in eliminating the impact of inequality and social injustice amongst racialized young people in the criminal justice system. They provide services and supports to Black and racialized individuals and communities, many of whom are incarcerated and reintegrating back into the community. They have supported a large number of incarcerated young people as well as youth and families in the community. In the 14 years of operation and with approximately 20 partners, they have provided various initiatives and supports in 8 federal institutions and multiple NIAs throughout Toronto. And the handsome-looking man in the square below me is Mr. Richard Miller. He's the founder of Keep6ix and a community-driven leader. He's dedicated to assisting underserved youth, experiencing and witnessing misrepresentation, racism, corruption, and injustices experienced by Black youth and minorities. He decided to establish Keep6ix. It is his passion to bring healing individuals who have been through traumatic experiences by ensuring resources and programming are able to prevent incarceration. He's an experienced and savvy entrepreneur who believes in training and developing the next generation of young professionals. He believes that with a second chance and the right opportunities present, our young people can thrive and become successful. I like to say both of you, amazing bios. Can I hire whoever wrote your bios, by the way? They were great. I'm telling you, they're really good. Well, welcome for the first time and hopefully not the last time to the Dr. Vibe Show. And how's the day been for everybody? Good?
Yes, blessed.
Excellent. Well, what I want to do first is just get a little background on both of you. So I'm going to start with ladies first. Ms. Brown, can you share a little bit about yourself outside of the amazing bio?
I'm a mother. I think that's the main. I'm a mother. I don't have much to say more than I run this organization that takes up my life at the moment. Think2ix is a child, I would say, of mine. And my focus is really to help young people who are individuals who are incarcerated and those who are reintegrating back into the community, just to give them a platform to have a voice and to help others who are walking in their path. It so turns out that after a few years of me focusing on this piece, I myself changed my life in 2005. And this was something that I began to do after that. 2006, we started the program. My son is now incarcerated. And so that's basically my life. And the reason for this organization and the push is because I'm trying to build what my family, I would say, did not have. So the positive male role model, the support, the advocacy, the grief support, and just people to think twice, basically.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Richard, a little bit about your background, sir.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you very much for having me here tonight and also for your support. It's very heartwarming to see support from our fellow organizations and so forth.
Yeah.
A little about me myself. I had my experiences with our system And after navigating through it, I had the opportunity of seeing there's a lot of corruption, inequality, but most of all, overrepresentation and a lot of suppression. And I took it upon myself that I wanted to educate our community about it, but most of all, empower our young people not to get into that situation or that trap, as I call it, because to me, I find it to be a trap. So I founded Keep6ix, and what I started doing was just talking to the public about the navigating through it and what goes on behind the walls that they really don't hear about, because I feel our community is misinformed. Over the last 3 years after doing this, it has developed into now employment, advocacy. Also, I have put together a program myself, and a defense criminal lawyer. I put together a program called Guns for Tuition, which gives young people the opportunity to get out of the gang lifestyle, and they're able to turn that gun in without no questions asked to the lawyer, and in turn, they will get the opportunity, if they wish, to learn a trade of their preference. Basically, my whole aspect about Keep6ix is about empowering and uplifting our community and education.
Okay. Thanks to both of you. And I want to say thanks to everyone who's watching on the Get Vocal platform. Thank you, Blessing. Thank you, Ty and Luke. Having a little bit of challenge on the Facebook platform for some reason, but it seems everyone who can't watch on the Facebook platform is watching on YouTube. So shout out to everyone on YouTube. Please feel free to ask questions or make comments. I will share them with our two friends in real time. I want to go back when both you first started your organization. Can you give some memories of those early days of both your organizations? Who'd like to start first?
Go ahead, Richard.
Well, fortunately for me, believe it or not, Ms. Brown and I met while I was actually going through my situation.
Wow.
And yeah, so we kind of met, and she kind of catered to individuals that was in different circumstances than what I was in. But I tend to attend her functions or her meetings. And I just really took a passion to what she was doing. And I found it was something that was really, really needed. So I just got up one day and I said to her, I said, whenever I get through my situation, I'd really like to connect with you. Is there a number? And she gave me connection. And after I was out, I did call, and I had the opportunity to go to think twice meetings and events and give some support. And she supported, gave me a lot of support through my situation. And through that, I started doing the public speaking. I wanted to educate. So I reached out to one of our organizations in the city called Young Street Mission. And I was able to connect with the family director there, Marcia Sheldon. And she heard my story and just reached out and said, whatever I can do, I want to be able to help you. So I had the opportunity of the platform to be able to speak about what I really wanted to educate the public about and bring attention to. So I was given that opportunity from there. And between Ms. Brown kind of giving me some guidance and the support from Young Street Mission, I kind of built my platform from there and continue to network. And after a period of time, individuals started seeing what I was doing and felt it was something that was very needed in the community. And I was able to get support from other community members. But I actually started out with Ms. Brown and Young Street.
Well, Ms. Brown, you seem to be the oracle.
Mm-hmm.
You seem to be one that people are attracted to. I see. You stop it. And one thing you have to realize about Ms. Brown, she doesn't like to give herself credit.
Mm-hmm.
You deserve a lot of credit. But what what was the impetus and what were the early days of Think Twice all about?
2005, I changed my life. Before that, I lived for the money, survival. When I look back, I wasn't doing anything wrong. I mean, it was criminal activity, but it was the only way that I could see myself out. So the focus was money. I had 2 children. No, at that point, actually, I had 4. And yeah, survival of the fittest. Only the strong survive. 2005, I made a change, and I changed directions in life. And with that, I received a purpose and a calling that I didn't know before. I didn't know my talents before. I didn't know why I was alive. I didn't know my assignment or my purpose until I changed my life. And then I began to do everything without money. So everything I did was like from the heart. I didn't want money. I didn't want funding. I gave my whole life for about a good amount, like 10 years maybe. And I started working with youth in the community. It was after the summer of the gun. So I started to work with youth, and I would teach them spiritual principles. As I was learning the word, I was teaching the word, but to the streets, in the street sense. So, for instance, the story of um, Daniel in the lion's den. I would teach it, but how it is today, which is men that are set someone up to get robbed. The lions are guns, and God held, or the angels held the mouths of the. So you know what I mean. I would just take the word and make it a street reality for the streets, basically. And then we did some correspondence to people. At one point, there was about 90 people that we were writing in jail. We visited people that were in Sunnybrook and had been shot. So we provided those supports, but everything was faith-based and, from the heart. And then 2009, we began going into the pen. We focused on the only pen that I had been to at that point was J Unit, which is a maximum security prison, 23-hour lockdown. And that's where I knew my calling was. I knew I was needed, and I knew that was my calling. And that became a new chapter of my life. And from that, different programs came out of that. You know what I mean? Black History Month, motivational speaking, theater, which I'm not a theater person, but theater, mentorship programs. We started doing prevention, gang and gun prevention in the community, bringing youth into the prisons through a Kings to Kings project. One of the plays that we did in the pen we're doing now in the community is called Dying to Live, but like on a different level. We're trying to do a film. But at the end of the day, it started from a place of really just faith and just having a purpose, like knowing what my purpose is. Everything I tried to do is what I didn't have for my child, for my son. I seen as a child, he didn't have a positive male role model. So I wanted to build positive male role models who were in prison and jail. So when I say my son didn't have a positive male role model that he could identify with and respect. And I know that with youth, if for them to accept a role model, they have to be able to identify and respect that number. The first person is their father. And then so with the father, they could identify on a level because that's blood. But if that father's not there, they need someone that they can identify with. And there were positive male role models in the neighborhood. In a community, but not that they could identify with. That's been through what they've been through and that get it. So I wanted to build a positive male role models. I wanted to provide grief and trauma supports because there were none. There was multiple people that were killed when my son was younger, and there was no supports. Culturally sensitive, right? So he ended up turning to what everyone else does. They Band-Aid it away, they smoke it away, they drink it away. And then I wanted to create a support for people that were in hopelessness. My whole community was in hopelessness, right? So in the first time we went into prison, people were hopeless. So I wanted to work with people that were hopeless as well. And there's a few more things, and I can't remember them right now. But yeah.
Well, you put enough there already, but that's absolutely fantastic. Hearing both of you, one of the things that comes to my mind is, where do you get your servant's heart from?
Oh, you know where you're going with this, Dr. Vibe. You know where you're going with this with me.
Well, with you, I know, but you know what? I may know, but you're going to verify. So where do you get your, both you, because I look at both of you as great servants.
Okay.
Where does that come from?
My servant heart comes from Yeshua, or Jesus, or Jesus, however you want to call him. That's where, because when I learned about him, he's an advocate. He spoke truth. That's why they had to kill him. So because of that, he came for the poor, the sick, the sinner, the lost, and the outcast. So because of that, I follow his mandate. I ride for the poor, the sick, the outcast, the lost, the sinner. And I follow in his footsteps. He's an advocate. I speak out for truth. So that's where I get my heart from.
And it's interesting because when I was sharing with this young lady earlier, I'm going, is she shy? No, she's not shy. Richard, where do you get your servant's heart from?
I think after you go through things in life, I had the opportunity to sit down and evaluate things. One of the things that I found that was a lot of things that I took that was important to me, or I felt that driven me. And those things were totally irrelevant when it's all stripped away from you. So what I've gave me the passion was the fact that I was able to have nothing and give back to the community and be able to build someone else up with knowledge, because that's how powerful knowledge comes out to be. It's not about the materials or the value of things. It's about whatever you're able to give that person, able to absorb it and grow from it. So that gave me a lot of strength, and it gave me that courage to move forward and continue to do the work. And I found out that the work that my passion itself was something that was really needed, and how much other people felt the need for it in the community as a whole, right? But for me, that's where it is. Like, I came to the point where I just wanted to be able to uplift my people, and my own experiences, and I see what was happening to other people, and I just wanted to have the next generation to be strong and have that value in themselves that they need.
Wonderful. Again, people, if you're watching on Get Vocal, if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching via Periscope, my YouTube channel is blowing up right now with YouTube. So I just want to say thank you so much, because people are watching and joining the conversation. Let's get to our conversation topic tonight. COVID-19 and its effects on the Ontario correction system. So for those who aren't in Ontario or are not aware, can you give a little background of this, as comfortable as you are, the current state of the Ontario correction system, and then say, okay, what has COVID now done to that system on top of it? Who would like to start?
Go ahead, Rich.
Well, at the present time, we have two systems. And so who don't understand how the system works? We have a provincial, we have a federal system. Our federal system caters to individuals who are serving a sentence of 2 years and up to a life sentence. Our provincial system covers individuals who are serving 2 years less 1 day, all the way into a 30-day sentence or a 10-day sentence. So we have two different governments overseeing two different facilities. At the present time, our federal system, depending on the particular facility, is running okay. They're doing, they don't have a big issue to a wide extent, as far as what we've gathered from our phone calls that we're receiving. Today, I did receive a call from one institution, Bath, that they have correctional officers there that are not wearing masks and they're not no PPE, and offenders there are complaining. That was something that was received about 4 hours ago.
Wow.
In our provincial system, though, it's a totally different ballgame. We have one institution that had 60 positive cases.
What?
Yes, we had an institution in Brampton that has been closed down, and they've removed all offenders from that institution called OCI in Brampton, Ontario.
Ontario Correctional Institute.
Right. So they've removed all the offenders from there this week and transferred them to the Toronto South Detention Center.
Wow.
So I'm going to jump in, Richard. So if I cut you for a minute. So here's the thing. I find that every institution is moving different. So they're operating different. So there's some provincial jails that are operating better than others. So from what I've heard, Maplehurst is operating better than the South. I don't know how true that is. Some units have different things that they're different complaints than others. But that's the same with federal as well. There's over 100 federal inmates that have COVID-19 in, I think it's Quebec. Is it Quebec or Ottawa? I'm pretty sure it's Quebec. So
Quebec.
the federal institutions that we deal with here, we don't have the issues that they have on a province or in Quebec. At the same time, the issues that we're facing in provincial is not the same as what we're facing in federal. So provincial is worse than federal. Trudeau acknowledged the issue in federal in the prisons, and he made sure that all the federal prisons were provided with masks. Right now, if Bath isn't using masks, then that's a problem because they're mandated to wear masks. So now that's concerning to me. But provincial was not mandated to wear masks, and they weren't provided with masks until today. So today I got a call that now they're mandated to wear masks, the guards, and now they are being provided with, right? But that wasn't the case. So there was these are two systems, federal and provincial, but they were both operating differently. And that's a problem. Why weren't they operating the same? And provincial is actually worse than federal when it comes to sanitation. That's why people take pleas and leave from the provincial system and run to the federal, even if they're not guilty, just to get the hell out of provincial. So.
Wow. Well, for folks who are not in Canada or Ontario, we have provinces which is comparable if you're living in the U.S. to states, and federals are national government. And when Richard talked about OCI, I have been to OCI, and I know how many people are in there. So for them to be transferred to another facility, that's one thing. But 60 inmates?
60 inmates had it, and they transferred 140 inmates.
40.
Closed down OCI.
And keep in mind, there was also staff. I think it was 8 staff that was tested positive also.
And they sent them to the South that has no business taking them because the South can't even manage. I mean, now they have masks. They didn't have masks the other day. And I don't even know if they have them at the present time. The rule was just set. So what the hell's going on?
Well, see, there's I have a number of questions I would be asking, like, why wasn't more proactive action taken?
Mm-hmm.
Why did it shouldn't have even got to 1. How did it get to 60? From 0 to 60, did they not? What's the preventative? And I know putting them into another facility, that doesn't resolve the issue.
No.
Especially when I don't mean to interrupt you, but you have to keep in mind too. When you're going to somewhere like the South, that's a larger facility. I think the capacity there is 1,500 bodies it will hold. You already have their own issues there that they're dealing with that they're not even prepared to handle.
That's right.
So now you're putting another burden in there. But at the same token, we have to look at it from a bigger scope, where we have individuals who are making decisions at a higher level and dictating to the people, the frontline workers, that really don't even know what is going on from up top. So you have a set of people down at the bottom here, like for instance, an institution who's taking directions from upper management, and upper management don't have the demographic of really what's going on that they have to face each day.
So let's talk about some of the challenges or some of the concerns both of you have even before this hit. How the treatment, especially of Black inmates in these institutions, was going. What are concerns that you have that have maybe been amplified now because of this situation?
One of the things that's always been there off the bat is the corruption. We have a lot of that within the system, especially when it comes to the employees and the way they run. They try to, what you have to understand, or your listeners have to understand and be clear about, there's a very large majority of individuals who are suppressed. They feel that they don't have any rights because they've been told that. Then you're dealing with education. They lack the knowledge of their actual common human rights. So with that said, you have a system that's taking advantage of that, because that system itself is built to suppress the individual, to let them not rise or not be able to stand up to them. So now what has happened now with this COVID situation, it has allowed them to even suppress these individuals even more, right? Because now the person is dealing with this health concern, and what they feel that they might have the right to address, well, they're not getting their necessities that they're entitled to, right? That they will be able to get on the outside.
And right? What happens when you put a human being in a cage and treat them like an animal? The Salt Detention Center houses young people or individuals who are awaiting trial. They haven't been convicted yet. Now, most of the people that are in these detention centers are people that cannot afford bail. So you're going to see poor people and people of color. If you can afford bail or you're privileged, you're getting bail. You're not going to be housed there. You're waiting for trial at home, and then you'll go to trial and get found innocent or guilty. So we got to remember that these people are not found guilty. Now, they're housed in a detention center that has excessive lockdowns and has always had excessive lockdowns because staff don't want to work because of whatever issues it is that they have. Even more so now with COVID-19, the staff are fearful and they did not have proper supplies. So now they didn't want to work. You have excessive lockdowns. What the heck is that doing to these people's mental state? It's like, if a person does not have a strong faith belief system, that will break a man, and that's not helping. That's not helping people when they're reintegrated back into the community, or even if they're found innocent. What happens to that man? Now he's institutionalized, or you have had him in a place where he's so used to, like a young man was speaking on our meeting in our Zoom yesterday, and he said that with the lockdowns, I asked how he dealt with it, and he slept it off every day, all day. What is that doing for people if you're sleeping it off? What are other people doing? They're trying to take away that pain, that trauma, that you're locking a human being in a cage. For God's sakes, like, what do you think is going to come of that? Look at the criminal justice system. The criminal justice system is a business. People make money off of the criminal justice system. We might not have factories like they do in America, right? Although we have Corcan, it might be a slightly different, and it is a lot different, I'll admit. People are born in America to go to prison. You know what I mean? So that's a different topic. But here, people make money off of people of color and poor people in the criminal injustice system, from policing to people in the courts, crowns, judges, to the penal system, provincial, young offender, provincial, federal, parole. It's a big business, and they need people there.
Before we go further, I just want to shout out some people who joined us on Get Vocal. We have Montana. We also, I think I mentioned already, we have Aisha. We have a special friend that's watching on YouTube, Lewis March from the Zero Gun Violence Movement. Thank you so much, as I say, Dr. March, for dropping in on us. And on Periscope, one of the followers, loyal followers of the Dr. Vibe Show, I Can Do Dave, is watching from Australia. So, and he says, prison doesn't mollify, nor does it pacify. It crucifies many who are helpless.
That's right.
Well, very, very well put. Also want to shout out you, Foresight, on Periscope also. Richard, did you want to add something before we move on, or is everything good so far? Go ahead.
I just want to say that what we have to understand, like Ms. Brown brought up, is the mental health aspect of it. It's a big factor into when you break human being down. And if anyone ever stop and look and go back, even this is something that's been going on for the last 400 or 500 years. That's how the system is built. It's just a new age 20 version of it, but it's still, the object of it is to break down people. You can sit down, if you ever had the opportunity to go to a courtroom, you ever listen to a crown attorney or a judge, they'll tell you, Johnny, you're no good. I'm going to, so you wait. So that person starts being broken down. What happens to a person if you constantly feed that negative energy into them, information? They start to believe you. And that's what happens in there, right? And that's how, once you see individuals, they tend to go back in the system and so forth, because their life skill have broken down, and they've been broken down so much and damaged, they don't know the proper route to go ahead and try to get help to fix themselves. And the system itself don't want them to get fixed. Yeah, we have to admit that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to add to that, Ms. Brown?
No, I totally agree. I agree. I have to question: do they truly want these people to be rehabilitated? Do they truly want justice? Do they truly want equality? I don't think so.
It's quite clear if you stop and you navigate through it. They use it, I think, reintegration. There's no such thing as reintegration. It is something that's used, and it's something that's put out to the public. There's two words that you'll always hear from within the system: reintegration and public safety. Mm. Those are the two things they feed on, right? And they constantly do. And to be honest with you, you have when it comes to reintegration, you have a very small majority of individual that in the system that really believes in reintegration and put their heart and soul into reintegration for individuals getting back into the community, right? And the percentage is very, very small on that level, right? And them themselves is looking for avenues and how to reintegrate people back in and trying to build these young people or individuals, period, to reintegrate back in the community, right? So it's just something it's a selling feature that our politician or our government use. But when you get down into and put your head to the streets and look at really what and look around within the system, it isn't happening that way.
I feel that the biggest criminals and the biggest bullies are not the inmates.
No.
They're not the inmates. And we, as a public, we don't understand. And that's why awareness is so important. Last night, we had a show. And actually, the week before, I wrote a few letters to the Solicitor General about the issues within the South Detention and the provincial institutions. The next day, my son was targeted by the guards. And they claimed that it was a direction from higher up. Last night, we had a show on Zoom, and we addressed these issues in the provincial jails. And this morning, my son was targeted. Now, I can't say for sure, but I believe that that's coming. That was to me. And that's what happens. Now, if they are not criminal, and if they're not bullies, then why are people not allowed to speak about the things that the inequalities and the things that are wrong within the justice system, especially the penal system? They put a hold on people that are on parole. People that's on parole are not allowed to speak out, right? Anytime you speak out, even when you're inside, they silence you. So if that's the case, then what is it they're doing wrong, and what are they trying to hide? Right?
Go ahead, Rick.
You see, we had an incident just a few weeks ago where we had an individual reach out to our advocacy team. And this individual's in their care. And apparently they did not have soap for these individuals to wash their hands. And this particular facility housed a 200 federal individual. And there's no soap, there's no sanitizer, there's no mask, there's no gloves. Would you believe by the time that individual made that complaint, it was probably about, I don't know, I'd have to check with my team, but within days later, that individual was violated and sent back to the system inside, right? So this is something that's always going on. Anytime you don't fit the mold of how the system wants you to be,
Yeah.
They put their upper hand. They say, well, we are in control, and who dare you to speak up? Or who dare you to be a voice? You're a problem.
Right.
That's how they see it. Anyone who speaks up and does not fit in the mold of how they want you to be, and whatever you might feel that it's right, and you want to address your rights, they that's what they do. And it's very unfortunate, right? And this is where we need, as a community, we need to speak up and gather and understand these things. That's what's going on. Don't be there looking at whatever you hear on the news and whatever they tell you. Look at the actual facts. Sit down and look at what happens to offenders when they stand up for their just common human rights, right? And stop and look. When you have individuals that don't have any resources, they don't have financial support to have a big lawyer to defend them. They don't have anyone to write that letter, don't have the capability of writing that letter, that maybe to get it out to where it needs to go. They have family that doesn't know how to navigate through the system, right? So what happens? You continue to suppress these people. And what result are you expecting? Besides, it's a business. So if I'm running a business, why would I want you to uprise? I continue to suppress it because it's a money thing for me. You have to stop and look. If you go into any provincial institution, it runs, the way I can make it simple for you, it runs like a Home Depot store.
Wow.
Tomorrow morning, you go to Home Depot and you take a paint off the shelf, a can of paint off the shelf. Within a couple hours later, there's going to be a gentleman coming around to put that can of paint back in the shelf. It's the same way they operate. By the time that bed space is empty, there's another individual they're putting in to put in that bed space.
Wow.
And I'm going to put this token for guards. I don't believe that they care about their guards either. They care about their guards as much as they care about their inmates. I don't believe that they have any care towards their guards either. They're replaceable. Because if they did, they would make sure they had the proper supplies, the proper preventions that they need. Because we all know if it comes in, it's coming in from the guards. It will be spread to the inmates, go back to the guards, and be brought back into the community. So that means they do not care about their guards. And clearly they don't care about the safety of the community either.
I'm reading here, Montana says it was about 8 to 10 hours after the post launched on social media that the individual was arrested again. I don't know what that's referring to, Montana, but maybe if you can give me a little bit more clarity on that, we can understand a little bit better. There's so many different conversation points I want to have discussed. So before I even go there, I'm hoping that we can do a part 2 sooner rather than later, because we got to get deeper into this. This is just appetizer stuff. We got to get deeper into this. But Montana's saying in regards to what Richard said. So she's saying it was about 8 to 10 hours after the post launched on social media that the individual was arrested again in regards to what Richard said.
Right. So the individual reached out to Keep6ix. Keep6ix advocacy team had taken on his situation. In turn, we contacted our legal team. They advised. The social media team had put up a post about what took place. This individual also, because one of the things you always have to understand when it comes to our system, validation is a very important thing. Because even when something they are totally wrong at 100%, they will not take responsibility. They tell you that you must take responsibility for your action, but unfortunately, it doesn't work the same way with them. So this individual took photos of all the soap dispensers, the empty cleaning material, everything was empty, just to validate his story. So with that said, I guess what she's saying is that 8 to 10 hours after they posted on the Keep6ix pages, that individual was violated and sent back.
So we got some comments here. You Foresight for you too on YouTube saying a man walks into a jail, a man should walk out and be treated like a man. Also, Lewis March is wanting your feedback. Ask them about rehabilitation while incarcerated. Which is one of the objectives of the correction system? So, Mr. Marsh, would like your thoughts on rehabilitation while individuals are incarcerated. Getting your thoughts on that.
Well, you can't. So, they have programs in place, rehabilitation programs that CSC approved. You cannot rehabilitate people of color when there are no culturally sensitive CSC approved rehabilitation plans. The only thing that they have are a few volunteer organizations. We're pretty much the only one in the federal that is culturally sensitive.
Hold on a second. You're the only one?
Yeah. Richard is the only one. I mean, there's okay. So yeah, Richard, you answer that because you were there. So
okay. So when it comes to programs within the federal system or in the provincial system, you have different organizations coming in, and it more or less, to put it bluntly, I would say it's more or less just a show. Everybody comes in, the guys will go into the end of it, but nobody's really getting nothing from it, right? And they're just coming in because it's the funding.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to, right? Everybody's playing the game.
Yeah.
When you get into integrity, nothing is really there.
Yeah.
On the federal level, it's a little bit different. You have federal guys have programming that they are mandated to do in the federal. That's a totally different ballgame. So they have no choice. Mm-hmm. Those programs they built, and it's built by national health headquarters. Those programs are built specifically for everybody. So it's built in the case that one shoe fits all, right? Now, when you're speaking about individuals coming in for programming, you have a few organizations. When it comes to anything, when it comes to the Black offenders, I would say Think Twice was the only program or individual that came in that offenders attended and got substance from it. That was one of the more or less things that guys look forward to, because it was something that they could reach out to, and it was something that they connected with. It's a big difference, right? And
then to break it down even further, we focus. So yeah, for Black History Month, we focus on all the Black inmates, but our focus is for people that are in the gun lifestyle. There's nothing for them. Now, how can you young people go in gang involved and come out gang involved? They go in not gang involved and they come out gang involved. So we're the only ones, and we're volunteer that were providing anything around, for the Black inmates, but then also that focus on that gun lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? So if there's nothing else there and you're not mandated, they're coming on their own. They're not getting a tick mark for parole to come. They're really coming on their own. Now, if you don't have that built in, and it's a fight, we get fight down. Collins Bay blocked us. Workworth blocked us. Why? Why did they block us? We didn't do anything wrong. They blocked us because the inmates want us. And that particular that particular population of inmates are the ones that they fight against the most, right? So because they want us, they fight us down, right? Because we speak truth when we come in there, and we speak positive, and we let them know that they are kings and that they can become anything they want. It's a problem. Everywhere we go, it's a problem, right? I mean, it's only really Beaver Creek that supports us, I can say. But the rest of them, well, you know, Joyceville, we've been everywhere. J Unit was there at that time. That was Millhaven. J Unit closed down. Millhaven has invited us to come back, and that's cool. But at the end of the day, that barrier is still there for that particular population, who is also the population of people that is in the news for the shootings and the deaths within the community. So at the end of the day, if we want to stop the gun violence, we need to do that inside and make sure that they have rehabilitation programming. If not, they're going in the same way and coming back worse, because now you put them in a damn cage and treated them like an animal. So what do you expect they're going to come out to be? So yes, Louis, rehabilitation is a big problem, and it's an issue that we need to address. But corrections is the one that controls that, right? So no one wants to step on corrections' feet. And that's
Why not?
I don't know. They're bullies, man.
Because one of the words that comes to my mind here is accountability. Do they not have to answer to anybody?
You know what? I'll address something. They put these people, right? They put these people in place that are supposed to be like the ethnocultural representatives that are supposed to be making sure that the Black inmates are getting what they need. But that's not happening. So really, this group is supposed to be who they answer to. But who's in this group? That's not happening. They're not getting what they need. And these are community members. So we have a disconnect right there. That's a problem. So we need to make sure that's why I say the community needs to know what's going on, and they need to rise up. They need to make sure that we understand our rights and that we are involved, because they are our community. They're our children. They're our family. And we need to make sure. At the end of the day, I don't even know how much say the ethnocultural community has anyways. But that's what they claim they have in place. So,
Richard?
I think there's a lot of groups or members that they put in place to address issues. And what we have to understand is that over a period of time, they tend to get complaints or about certain issues. So what they try to do is just basically put someone in a position to say, well, this person is going to be looking after this area of this problem. But at the end of the day, a lot of time these people go in these positions and these issues don't change at all, right? Unfortunately. It comes down to, again, funding, right? Because, like for instance, like for Keep6ix is an organization that hasn't received any funding. We're doing what we do by my full-time job and by our community support, and like people like yourself. So it's a lot different. We are able to go out and speak what we feel. There's no one that's going to be put the muzzle on us and say, well, we can't do this or we can't do that because you're going to give us X amount of dollars, right? And that's what happens to a lot of organization or a lot of individual. You have to keep that in mind too, right? But unfortunately, it's something that I really think our community really needs to reach up to their local MPPs, city council, and speak up. Because these people are looking for votes and they're saying they're going to do something for the community. Well, we need to call them to the table and let them be accountable to address the issues that our families are facing, and make some changes.
Dr. Vibe asked a question, and that question was serious. That was a really good question. Who are they held accountable to? Well, the only people that are above corrections is so who is it now? Bill Blair. That's who they're accountable to. And then he's held accountable to the government. To
1 second.
Right? But they did put someone in, they did put a group in place when it comes to the Black inmates, who they claim are supposed to be making sure that everything, and they are from our community, and they're not making sure everything is okay. but they're in the community acting like they are. They're not.
Well, that sort of resonates in myself and Ms. Brown. We had a conversation this afternoon. We won't get into it here, but it's one of the concerns that I have is, what does the Black community need to do? Because you'd think there'd be more voice, especially the powers that be in government, to this issue. But it seems that there's not as much voice to it as there should be. Am I wrong?
Well, there's okay. First of all, we need to understand there's also levels to it. So there's a separation with class. You know what I mean? So I mean, just because someone is from a particular race doesn't mean they're looking out for everyone that's from that race, even if they say they're for the people. A lot of people are not really for the so-called poor people or the people that are in the streets or the ones that they look down at who are in prison and in jail. They're more looking at their children and their families are more on the top. That's what they look out for. And the social sector has really become a hustle for people. So it's not really helping. It's turned into a hustle. Most of the EDs are, you already know what time it is. And that's what.
Richard, do you want to add to that?
Truthfully, I agree with Ms. Brown. One of the things that our community needs to do and is lacking is the education piece. Our community need to understand and learn about their actual rights and the level and the magnitude of what's going on. You can't get changes unless you're able to speak up. But it's a fear that's been put into them, because you'll have an individual that's in the system and he will call his family outside and he's going through that situation. The family is knowing, and it's the burden on the family. But he says, please don't say anything because it's going to make it harder for me in here. That is a very common thing, right? So now that individual is carrying that burden, plus the family is carrying that burden. So there's a trauma is coming in from that person. It's trickling down, right? And that's what we have to understand. They built a fear. They build fear. And if you stop and look at it, it's something that's from 500 years ago into the days of slavery, right? It's continued on, right? The system is only a 2020 version, but it's been going on for 500 years. It hasn't changed.
And there are people in the system that need to stand up and be leaders. They need to stand up against what's wrong. And that's on all levels, all professions, all races. They need to stand up. Because, yeah, the system's corrupt, but the people are allowing it to continue to be corrupt.
Just want to shout out on the Get Vocal platform, Big Bad Brad. Thanks for stopping by, and also Candace and everyone else who's following the conversation. No one's leaving. So this is good. And people are listening to your hearts, especially in this. When I hear about situations like this, it makes me make this statement, and I don't know if you'll agree or disagree with me. People are managing the system, they're not helping the system.
Yes.
And the reason why I'm saying that is, if the system was supposed to be doing, or is supposed to be doing what it's supposed to be doing, there may be some people that wouldn't be there right now.
That's true. I'll challenge you on this one. We had a mother contacted us. This mother had a son who suffers from mental health and addiction. And this individual, on a yearly basis, he will go through our provincial system doors, say at least 30 times for the year.
How many?
30.
It's an average of two times a month.
Roughly, yeah. Some months he might get out, and by the time he's out for 3 days or a couple hours, he's back in. Keep in mind the key word that suffer from mental health and drug addiction.
Yeah.
He has a mental capacity of maybe a 10-year-old, 9-year-old. So the problem comes down on the mental level is that he's not able to admit that he needs help. So then they say he falls right through. But he's not doing anything. He's only coming in for instance, perfect example, they ban him from one of the shelters. So he'll go to that particular shelter, they call the police, he goes back in. Just a while back, that same individual was in one of our provincial institutions and was released. They're supposed to take him to an establishment for housing. The guards that are taking him ended up let him out in Barrie, Ontario.
Why?
Because they're dropping off other offenders at the bus terminal. So they let him out too. 3 weeks later, this individual is still missing. The family don't know where he is. They can't find him. And keep in mind, we got mental health. We have a compassion of a 9-year-old, and he's in an area he's never been in before, or have no idea. 3 weeks later, to find him in a stairwell in an apartment building.
Alive?
But did you hear about that? No. Did you hear about the individual that's dying in correction? How many offenders die in federal facilities each month? When's the last time you heard about that? When's the last time you heard about offenders who might get out of a halfway house and there was no housing set up or any support and he's released in the community and he ODs?
And with these systems, they tie you away where you, whether it be you win a lawsuit or whatever it may be, they tie you where you can't speak about it. So we don't hear. You know what I mean? But that's what happens. And the reality is a lot of the people that end up suing them, they have to pay for the funerals. You know what I'm saying? So they're poor people. So they take the conditions and they take the chump change, basically, for their life. And then we don't hear. So they tie you. That's why I say they're criminal. What is the law? The system is not broken. It was built this way. It's corrupt. And the older I get is the more I see it. And it's actually sad, but I get it. We're in a corrupt world.
It just, that the accountability piece just really brings out to me. Like when it just, there's no one having to answer for their actions.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong, but there seems to be no accountability, and it's a business.
Well,
that's correct. But remember something. Every offender that goes through the system must account for their action.
Yeah, but what about every person who's working in the facility needs to account for their action?
When you get that get that going, please let me know. I would like to be in the
I know that. I just put it. No, I know that is, but I'm putting that out there. That yes, it isn't a two-way street. It's a one-way street, and for some people, it's not even a one-way. It's a dead end. Forget about a one-way street.
Yeah. Like it's one thing if you advocate for a person, you might get somewhere. But you see, when you're trying to advocate for a people and systems change, it seems like it's a long fight that we've been fighting for donkey years, and it ain't going to end anytime soon. It seems so hopeless because it's just there's so many issues, and they really don't answer to anyone. But I guess we got to keep fighting the good fight, right?
So, with you, both of you have limited human and financial resources. What keeps you going?
God.
I thought I was going to hear that from Ms. Brown first.
No, I'm tired. So that's bad, but I'm tired though. But I'm tired.
So then, what would be some things that would help both of you in what you're wanting to achieve? What are some things that you need to help what you're doing move forward in a positive direction and make you less tired?
I need a team. Like I need a team with skill sets that can, like I was saying it before, like if I was able to hire a staff, I need a team. I need an assistant. I need an admin. I need social media. I'm doing everything. I need to hire some of our people that are volunteering as, youth outreach workers and mentors, and what I'm saying, so that we can be the superheroes that we are. But I definitely need the team. Richard has the team. So that's good. I have a team of young people with different things that we do. So I have a team of young people with the theater pieces and the speaking pieces, but I need people with skill sets. That's my thing. You know?
So what are the top 3 skill sets you need right now to make you move forward?
I definitely I need legal people on the team.
Yep.
Probably even like journalism.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, like I need an assistant as well.
Okay. So Richard, you have the team already, so you should have less demands, right?
He laughs at me all the time. He always laughs at me because I'm running around doing everything. He laughs.
Richard.
Well, you know what? I will say one thing for me. Fortunately for me, I had the opportunity of speaking and my own experiences and what I believe, my mandate. I had the opportunity of a lot of people believing me. And with that said, I was able to have a lot of support from the community and a lot of professionals. I think we've got about maybe a few lawyers. We've got everything from lawyers to politicians to professors, engineers. We have a good vast majority of people. But the thing that Keep6ix would need, I would say that would reach out right now is it comes down to finances, donations. We have a program that we're running for offenders. Once an offender get out, we're dealing with the trades right now, because one of the things for crime is poverty. So we're getting offenders into the union, into the trades. So to help pay for their union dues, their training. We're running a program called Guns for Tuition, where an individual can turn in a firearm, no questions asked. And they're able to get into the trades. Our programs, help that the community needs. We feed the community. We do Christmas dinners. We feed. We do back to school events where we're, getting knapsacks and school supplies for the children. The individual that's inside, they still have families outside to help that family hardship, right? So it comes down to a financial assistant or abilities that would need on our end, more or less.
And I would say that too. We have a team of mentors that we built. We have a team of people that were in prison who've come out. We have people with young people with lived experience. So we have the people that no one in the city has. We just need to be able to put them on board. We need the professionals with the skill sets behind to make sure the organization is secure. And then we need to be able to hire these people to go out and do what the city's been looking for. Right? So I would say, it's the finances as well, definitely.
Well, we're going to start winding it down here because both of you have had long days. And usually one person on the screen is usually not up this late. I won't say who that is. But I'd like to have both of you give any closing thoughts, comments, and where people can find out more information and potentially help. So let's go ladies first.
What I would leave you with is, if there's anyone watching that has a loved one that's inside, I would say in this time with COVID-19, take a pen and write down their concerns. A lot of them don't even know. They're in the inhumane conditions and don't even realize that they have human rights, that they are not supposed to be in the conditions they are. They are so stuck that they believe this is what is supposed to be. So I would say write down the things they tell you, because we have to be that support to advocate for them. Write it down. If there are people that you can go to that can support you, to help you, even formulate a letter, you can come to myself. I think twice. You can go to Richard at Keep6ix. There's people out there. But write down everything, and anything that you ever hear us say on any show, relay that back to them. For me, as a parent and as someone who's been working with people inside, prayer changes things for the right now. If you know how to pray, if you pray from a desperate place with an open heart, it will change the right now. Advocacy is what changes some of the physical things on a term that's a little bit longer, but is needed. So we need to know, and why I love Martin Luther King is because he protested and he prayed. So he brought that together, the physical and the spiritual. So I would say to any parent that goes through what I go through, and that's hell when you don't hear from your child that's incarcerated, get on your knees and pray in desperation and release those angels. And then write letters to the Solicitor General, write letters, connect with some of our organizations that are beginning to now advocate and who have been advocating, and learn the different ways that you can support. Petitions, letters. We just can't sit still in this time. We need to educate ourselves, we need to read, and we need to support our people inside properly.
And where can people find out more information about your organization?
Our website is www.think2.org, or we're on Instagram. Think 2WICEINTL.
Thank you. I'll make sure that information goes up on the replay of this great conversation. Mr. Richard?
You can find us at Keep6ix, KEEP, the number 6, IX.org, or 1-800-640 3075.
That's why.
1-800-640-3075. You can find us.
And final words.
My final words are, I just want to say thank you very much for having me here tonight. If anyone in the community have their loved ones inside, you're welcome to contact Keep6ix or Think Twice. Keep6ix and Think Twice, we work collaboration with dealing with issues in the community. We have lawyers to assist from bail. We have a team of lawyers right now that's assisting families that have individuals inside for release over the COVID-19. We do a lot of grievances about issues that's going on inside for individuals and families to address, and speak up to your local MP, your city council. Bring these things to their attention. If you're silent, nobody will ever know. Or call us. We'll help you to get those letters up to the Attorney General and even the Prime Minister. We have to let them know.
Excellent. Thank you for both of you for the work you have done, are doing, and you will be doing in the future. And even though this was a Toronto-based conversation, we had people on from all over North America. So your message is resonating for a lot of people tonight. So I say thank you so much for that. I'd like to say thanks to everyone who joined the conversation live or on the replay, but live-wise, I want to shout out Blessing, Ty, Aisha, Montana, Luke, Candace, Big Bad Brad, Angela on the Get Vocal platform, on YouTube, Lewis March, thank you very much. You for sight for you too. He also had these comments to say that not everybody that's in jail is guilty. And as you think of businesses, you got to thank prisons and jails as business to somebody, because somebody's making some good money. Agreed. It is Dr. Vibe here. I'm the host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of epic conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations. If you want to find out more information about me, best place to go to is my website, the DRVIBESHOW. All things Dr. Vibe are there. Also remember that if you follow me on Twitter, you'll find out when I'm doing my monthly conversations for fathers that are co-hosted. Oh, well, actually, Luke, you did get the answer about how we fix it. They answered it both. So I just remembered that they did answer that. Getting back to that, I host monthly conversations for fathers online, co-sponsored by Dove, Men Care, and Dad Central. As always, I sign off with this: live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Next up, sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. block assumptions, and finally, aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Thank you, everybody, for watching this. And if you have the need, especially in the GTA, for help when it comes to this, please reach out to the representatives of both these organizations. They are doing masterful, important, and groundbreaking and society shaking in a positive way work. God bless, peace be well, and keep the fight. Goodbye, everybody. Good night.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you.